Hey guys, welcome to Follow Conversations. I'm Yolanda and I'm excited that you're joining me this evening. And man, we've got a great conversation ahead. And I've asked a couple of friends to join me tonight and talk about what real life discipleship looks like and what's required for it. So remember, this is your community. Follow Conversations. I had a book fall over. Follow Conversations is your community. And it's all about learning who Jesus is and what it looks like to follow him every day with our lives. And hey, I would love for you to invite someone to join this community, to be able to invest, to ask questions, to learn. So hit the like button and share, and ask somebody to join the community. So the reason my books fell, by the way, is because my dogs have decided to join us. I'll show you. Here's Maverick, and he's over here. Oh, it's always fun whenever we get to do this. Hey, I would love to know more about you and what's going on in your life. Maybe the Lord is blessing you and there's some incredible things that you want to praise him for. I would love for you to share that in the comments and share that with our community. Or if there's a way that maybe we can pray for you, maybe there's something that's on your heart and you need prayer about. Put that in the comments too, because we would love to be able to pray for you throughout the week. And I may not always see them as I'm hitting buttons and I'm moving through and having that conversation, but I promise you, I'll be praying for you throughout the week. Okay, so what is discipleship? What is required in order to take part in something like this? Is it required for all believers? Is discipleship optional? And where do you begin? So you've been asking a lot of questions, and we want to help bring about those answers. So tonight, I've asked my friends Todd and Paige West to join me for the conversation. How are you guys?
Good.
We're
How are you?
good.
Man, I'm doing pretty good. We had a little switcheroo. First, we were in one room, and now we had to get you to another. We got to make sure the Wi-Fi works, right?
Yeah. Where'd the dog go?
I know exactly. Where are the dogs? They have a little disappearing act that they like to do sometimes. So all of a sudden they just appear. So hey, I'm excited that you guys are joining us tonight to kind of give our viewers a little insight about you and get to know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Yeah. I'll let you go first,
Okay.
babe.
So Todd and I, we have basically known each other for, oh my goodness, since we were kids. We went to the same church. We grew up in Warren, Arkansas, which is a town. It was a town of about 7,000 at the time.
Mhm.
And even though we're 4 years apart, we had always known each other. So we went to church together, school together, just different grades, of course. And we've been married for 33 years.
Wow.
We have twin daughters that are 23 and just found out we're,
First of all, let me just say this 23. I cannot believe that.
I
It just
Yeah.
know
seems crazy.
what everybody says.
23. And you just found out what?
We're going to be grandparents.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, exciting. This is whenever I get to do this thing because I know that it's going to bring, no,
Yeah.
not that. It's supposed to give me the fireworks.
Oh, man. Yeah, that would be
Usually
my
when we do that, it gives fireworks. There it
There it
is.
goes.
I'm so
yay.
excited. That's exciting. I know you guys are excited about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we are excited.
Yeah. And then the neat thing about us, too, is so Todd surrendered to preach before we got married. So we've been doing ministry even before we got married.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's
We grew up
awesome.
in the same church,
mhm.
It's just we only grew up about maybe 2 or 3 miles away from each other. So
Man, that's awesome. I love that. And the fact that you guys get to do ministry together, I love that. I love that you guys are traveling and you're working and you're serving the Lord. Tell us a little bit about your ministry, where you feel like the Lord has kind of called you, what He's called you to do, and how that involves discipleship.
yeah, it's so interesting how, it just seems like our calling continues to evolve. You start out and you're doing this, and then God just continues to evolve, and you just follow along. Things change, and so much of our ministry early on was traveling, speaking to larger groups of people, and to being with a lot of pastors and their wives and their church families, and we still do some of that. But it seems like in these days we're just coming alongside missionaries and their wives, pastors and their wives, and just being a mentor to them and helping them as they are leading movements and doing things around the country. So we just are in that position now where we're spending a lot of time one on one with people and mentoring people.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. No preacher will turn down the opportunity to speak to a lot of people
Yeah.
in setting, but I think probably we're in the most fruitful time of ministry that we ever had because we get to impact so many leaders that are impacting so many people.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. You guys were talking about, that one-on-one investment and getting to pour into them and kinda stepping back just a little bit to pour into those leaders, and right now, you guys are working with a church plant, to Antioch, Salina, and helping them with their discipleship. Is that right?
Yeah, just being alongside the pastor there, Travis Sellers, and you know, we're working a lot with the discipleship ministry there, but also just kind of being I guess, a consultant in a way to some things that they're doing because we've, planted a church and also we work with so many other church planners, that are doing it. So, yeah, he asked us to join that team, and that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And we're so excited, Paige and I. It's good to be in the game. It's good to be a part of something somewhere that's happening. And I think it also gives us more influence when we're actually a part of a church planning process.
Yeah. On one of our recent interviews that we had, one of our recent conversations, I was able to talk with Jordan and Sarah Bowen.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that you guys discipled them, and so I wanna talk about discipleship for just a second. They were talking about, it starts with the family and it starts in the home, and they were doing an incredible job, and they had such great information for us and really some, like, real life examples of how they do that with their 3 boys, mind you. And, so what is discipleship? How would you define that?
Well, I think I want Paige to weigh in on some of this too. I'll end up doing all the talking, but I,
That's how it usually is with my
yeah.
husband.
So when you look at Matthew 28:18 through 20, obviously it starts with go into all the world and make disciples and teach them to obey. And so I think really discipleship is getting the word to people and then teaching them to obey, and so it's all about obedience. And Jesus said if we do that, he'd be with us, until the end of the age. And so when I think about discipleship, there's a description of that a lot of churches are using that I think's really good. But it just means to be a fully devoted follower of Jesus
Yeah.
and to be obedient, to his teaching.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Paige, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree totally with that. And I think, the neat thing is we do it a couple of different ways. It's just sharing with others the story of what Christ has done for us and in us, um, which makes it, I think, easier. We think it's hard, I think, to share
Mm.
our testimony, but really it's just telling people what Christ has done for us. And then also living it out. I think Todd talked about obedience. When they see that we're obedient and how to live, we're not only sharing, but we're also doing and showing. So hopefully we are doing those things to show them what discipleship looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about discipleship in real life, we know that there's an investment that comes from it. We know that there are some things that are required of us. So, what would you say if someone is saying, okay, I'm thinking about being discipled or I'm thinking about discipling someone else? What would you say is required of them to begin that and to continue that?
Well, I feel like what I've seen be successful is more of a life on life experience. So, I mentioned it's great to be able to speak, to a lot of people. But for me, that platform is just to be able to meet people one on one and to get into a relationship with them where there's an opportunity to do just life on life with them. You were mentioning Jordan and Sarah, they actually lived there with us and we just did life together. And a lot of the discipleship we did was on the back porch, drinking a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And our girls used to say, Dad, we never know who's going to be in the vehicle with you when you come to pick us up at school. And I would just always say to people, that God was putting in my life, hey, go with me. If
Yeah.
they like to hunt, we go hunt together. If they like coffee, we go drink coffee together.
Mhm.
But when you look in the New Testament, the Bible says about the two men on the road to Emmaus that Jesus was with them.
Yeah.
And it's just something powerful about just being together.
Mhm.
And I really believe discipleship, it happens in more of that one-on-one setting, just doing life together as you go
Mm.
Yeah.
with people day by day.
And, also, like, I know your program is called Follow.
Mhm.
And, in Luke 9, it talks about taking up your cross daily. He talks about following Jesus. I mean, a lot of times when people got saved, it was follow me, and they did. And
Mm,
so, again, that is discipleship. It's the follow, it's the living life together.
mhm,
Yeah, absolutely. I love that picture of kind of that apprenticeship, right?
right,
And
Mhm.
so it's, "This is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and now you're coming alongside me, you are learning this trade," right? You're
mhm,
learning how to be this and how to do this, and that's what I love so much about discipleship is because I'm very much I need to be shown something.
mhm.
Mhm.
Information exchange is good,
Yep,
but that is not how it works for me. It doesn't sink in. And so that is a huge part about what I love about discipleship is you get to not just tell someone, but you get to show them. And that investment requires commitment and it requires sometimes some sacrifice on our part. Like you guys said, um, your kids would never know who's going to be in the car with you. Or so yeah, sometimes there's a sacrifice of it's not just about me, right? And so you're just whatever the Lord is pouring into you, you are turning and pouring out into
Yes.
somebody else. And man, I
yeah.
love
I
that.
love what Paul said in Philippians 4. He said, "Those things that you've heard and seen in me, do,
Yeah.
and the God of peace will be with you." So you're
Mhm.
right. I mean, it is a willingness to let people come alongside you and be with you, to watch how you handle certain situations, every day in your life, and to watch you be real and genuine.
Yeah.
And so, when the Bible talks about preaching, Yolanda, I think sometimes, people think that, this is behind a pulpit to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But I've discovered over the years some of the best preaching I've done is just one on one with people,
Mm.
Yeah.
conversation. And so when it talks about preaching the gospel, it's just sharing the word with people, whether it's 1,000 people or one person.
Mhm.
And the greatest impact that I've seen, I could just take you all over the place, here in the States and show you people where there was a time that there was an opportunity to be a part of their life in a small way
Yeah.
and just help them get to the next level. But that happens so often
Mm.
just in
Mhm.
a one-on-one relationship.
Yeah, I think speaking what Todd said, um, and don't get me wrong, I love services. I love, you know, being able to attend conferences at church, those
Mhm.
things, the Lord, they're important to him. It should be important to us. But I think it's those things are avenues to open up
Mhm.
to greater conversation later and
Yes.
more
Mhm.
one-on-one.
Mhm.
So, you can only do so much in those big settings,
Mhm.
but you can go deeper in the smaller settings, in the more interpersonal setups. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, exactly how Jesus demonstrated it for us, right? I mean, he was preaching to the crowds, and then he would have these smaller crowds that he invested in, and then he had those that were the very closest to him that he was really investing in, and
Mhm.
so he definitely demonstrated that for us. And you were talking about when we do this life on life discipleship. when we open up and we have these real life experiences. I mean, here's the deal. Life can get messy. It's
Mm.
not just the stuff that we put on social media like, "Hey, everything's great. Look at this," life can get messy. And I'm sure throughout the years of discipleship, you guys have had some challenges and maybe struggles within your own self and your own lives or those that you're discipling. How do you deal with those and how do you overcome those?
Well, I think one of the reasons that we don't do more one-on-one discipleship is because involved in that there's some disappointments, there's hurt, and so a lot of times you will invest a lot of time and energy into a person, and that person may just go away or may even bring some hurt into your life.
Mm.
And so I think more people and churches are not engaged in discipleship is because just the potential for that, the potential of feeling like you're a failure, like you can't do this, or the potential of being hurt by someone that you've invested so much into their life. So that's one reason I think. I think the other reason that's hard for people is because it's just not quick. Discipleship, you can't just get people in a classroom, on Sunday and spend a little time with them and disciple them or bring them into church and preach to them. It just takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and it's a lot of watching them move forward 3 steps and back 2, and sometimes just quitting the process altogether. And so that's how it gets really messy. But I think what I tell myself in those moments is, you know what, just try to stay connected to people at whatever level they will allow me to be connected. And what I've discovered is there's going to come a point in their life where they might be willing to step forward and go a little deeper in this relationship, and they might be hungry for spiritual things. So just trying to keep that connection and try not to just give up on them and just wait for those moments because they have to be hungry for it. They have to want it. And you just have to be available
Mm.
to step into that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've struggled with in discipleship, I mean, we're being transparent, we're being open, and we're being honest, is getting frustrated with someone
Mhm.
because they're struggling with something. And I'm like, but that's not what the Lord wants you to do. And you already know that.
Yeah.
And then I forget about showing grace to them, the same grace that the Lord had shown me. And that's a hard thing, because we mess up. Even those who are the disciple makers can even mess up in that and not showing that. And so that can be definitely challenging. But to be open and honest about that with the person that you're working with, that you're investing in, that they see that, hey, it's not like we have it all figured out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
We're
exactly.
just working towards that. You know, I hear from a lot of people when we say, okay, why are you discipling someone? Most people say no. Okay, well, why are you not discipling someone? And a lot of them say, because I was never discipled myself.
Mhm.
And I think, but this is what Christ called the church to do. So where are we getting that wrong? And what is the solution for that?
Mm.
Mm. Good question.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll let Paige weigh in on this, but I would say first of all, I do hear a lot of people say that,
Mhm.
but I think I think we have had some discipleship through the years. I think when people say that sometimes what they mean is there's never been a formal process that they went through. But discipleship's not linear. In other words, we don't go out and buy some curriculum, and work through that for, 3 or 4 months. And then after you finish that, oh, I'm a disciple now. But that's what a lot of people think. So when they say, nobody ever discipled me, I think the evidence that people have been discipled is that there's a lot of these kind of conversations like we're having today. And there are a lot of people serving the Lord, today. And, all of us here today are a product of someone pouring into our life. So for people to say, well, that just didn't happen, is not really accurate.
True.
And what we see sometimes is every generation blames the one before. But there is an element of there has been some discipleship through the years. One of the things that I often say to that is, you have to want to be discipled. And so many people, are just sitting back and waiting for that. But when I think about my own experience, man, I went after it
Yeah.
and I'm still going after it. I go to people and say, "Hey, could we sit down and talk a little bit?" And a
Yeah.
lot of them are younger than me these days, and I want to learn from them and I want to grow from some things that they know and be close to them. But
Yeah.
I think about those early years, Yolanda. I went after people in my church that I knew were walking with the
Mhm.
Lord, and I sought them out, to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And I want to say more about what we're missing,
Yeah.
but I also want to give Paige an opportunity to weigh in on some of that too.
Yeah, I think for me, when I think about that, I agree with everything Todd said there. I also think that what we think discipleship is, maybe is not. I think, again, I think what he said with it being so formal, I think we think, well, we've got to go through a class or whatever, or like
Right.
meet so many weeks. But, I think about the Sundays. Well, first, I think about the couple that had kids that lived down the road from me that picked me up and took me to church. They got me to church. That was a form of discipleship.
Mhm.
They talked to me about the Lord. I went to Sunday school. I had Sunday school teachers. That's discipleship. I think about pastors that invested in me. Um, I was in GMAs. They invested in me. Think of pastors' wives and friends. I mean, the thing is, they didn't say, okay, I'm getting ready to disciple you. They just were doing things that helped lead me to Christ.
Right.
Mhm.
And even after I was saved, um, that didn't stop. And it might not have even been the same people, but there was continually someone. God will make sure of that if we're looking for it at every juncture of our life that's going to speak into our life, that's going to model what we should be doing to live for Christ,
Mhm.
that's going to encourage, that's going to pray for. So, Todd, I don't know where he heard this, but a lot of times it takes at least 7 touches for someone to hear about the Lord in some way, or people doing something for someone before they actually accept Christ as their Savior.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably that way in discipleship. Lots of different people involved. It might be small things, but it all builds to, show me what following Christ is.
Yeah.
And I hope I've been that in people's lives. I think some of it you see very clearly. That's really neat that Jordan and Sarah, they were talking about us. I mean, those were things easy to see because we spent so much time together.
Yeah.
We all were talking about how much we were learning, what we wanted to do, but so often just loving people, talking to people, praying for people. That's
Mhm.
forms of discipleship if we just do it, so we
Absolutely.
can do it every day in our lives with somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you were saying, a lot of times this stuff is happening,
Yeah.
it just may not have been referred to as discipleship
Yes.
in our lives. It may not be what it's called. My mother-in-law, Noma, she was saying, "We just didn't really say that word all the time." She
Yeah.
Mhm.
said it was just not something we said. It wasn't as popular or something, and she said, "But those things were happening."
Yeah, I think
And so
about, like, years ago, they would call it, what, BTS, like a Bible training service or whatever, which
Mhm.
we attended Sunday nights, and, in everything, there's good and bad, but there was discipleship going on there. I mean, that's what they may have called it training, but it was discipleship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So if I could say something about what I think we're missing and why we're not seeing a lot more results. I think I think what we see is in churches you just don't have very many disciple makers. So what I've noticed over the years, if you have, let's just say, a small group, and people are in there learning. So people will be a part of that process. They'll learn, and at some point, though, there comes a time where you say to these people, "Okay, I want you now to go and make a
Mm.
disciple." And this is where we just keep running into a roadblock. So people, we have a surplus of knowledge, but a deficit of application.
Mm.
So we're just learning and learning and learning and getting more and more information, but we're not turning around and investing that we've learned into other people.
Mm.
So churches stay really small and don't reproduce because typically you've got the pastor and maybe a couple of other people in the church that are doing this, and there's just no reproduction.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so, anything that's healthy will reproduce. And so whenever a person is a healthy disciple, they're going to be investing in the lives of other people and mentoring them and teaching them the things that God has taught them.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we're kind of hitting a roadblock.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely part of the Western culture is that we are great about learning lots of stuff. We want to continue to gain knowledge, we want to learn, but then taking that next step and passing it on to someone else. It's a tough thing. I mean, we love to be a fan and we love to be on the sidelines and cheering people on, but when they say, "Hey, it's time to get in the game," it's like, "Oh, hold on, I don't know enough and I don't know that I'm ready." And so,
Yeah.
yeah, we all have a lot of excuses, and I was definitely that way too. But there was a moment where I knew without a doubt that the Lord was calling me to start discipling someone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I started praying about that, and it was almost 6 months before he pretty much hand delivered these 2 girls into my lap and said,
Yeah.
"This is them."
Yes.
And it was so fun. We were at this girls retreat, and these 2 girls, neither one of them had really been into church for very long, and they were sharing the story of Ruth and Boaz, and I heard one of them reach over to the other one and whisper, "What's a Boaz?" And I thought, "This is it, like,
Yeah.
this is it." So after that little meeting, I went to them and I said, "Hey, girls, I overheard you talking about that and just wondering if you had questions and just wondering if it would be okay if I discipled you." And they're like, "Yeah."
Oh, wow.
And I thought, "Man, this is great." And they said, "What's discipleship? Like, what does that
Yes.
mean?" So I said, "Okay, well, this is great. They don't know. They don't know what to expect. I could really mess up and it'd be fine." But no, but it was great. You just know in those moments. So anyone who's watching, definitely encourage you that you don't have to know everything to
Right.
begin discipling someone. Start with your story. Start where Jesus changed you and just lead them to his feet. Show them how to study the Bible.
Yeah.
Show them how to pray.
Mm.
Show them that when things are not great and we mess up, to come to the Lord and ask for forgiveness, to
Right.
reach out to those who love you. So, absolutely, I'm with you. We just need more people to step up and be disciple makers, and man, I'm hopeful for that. I'm prayerful for
Yes.
that.
Can I say
For
one
sure.
more thing on that?
Yes,
That
yes.
I think sometimes as leaders, I think we can be guilty. I think, without saying it, I think sometimes we want to feel like we're the only ones that can do some things. And really, like you said, I mean, that's like as soon as people got saved in the Bible, the first thing they did was go and they started
Yeah.
discipleship. I mean,
Mhm.
and the Lord would tell them, "Go and tell them what I've done." So He didn't say, "Go and, you have to learn all of these things. You have to go to take certain classes and then you'll be ready." I mean, as soon as He saves you, you're ready.
Mhm.
And you're going to still be learning. We always learn. No,
Yes.
no matter how old we are, we'll be learning. But if we have a true heart for discipleship, love the Lord in the Word, and we're following Scripture, then anybody can disciple, and we
Yeah.
should all want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, this has been such a great conversation with you guys. I'm thankful for you, thankful for your hearts, thankful for your service to the Lord, and definitely praying for you guys as y'all continue with this church plant to Antioch, Salina, and helping with that, and all of the gazillion other things that you guys do, and about to be first time grandparents. That's so
Yes.
exciting.
Yes. So
I
excited.
mean, I'm sure you already feel a little bit like a grandparent getting to take care of dogs, but that's really more of your baby, isn't it, Todd?
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And the boss of the house,
yeah,
so
yeah.
It's funny because I will say this, you mentioned earlier that you guys have kind of been everywhere and you've had little moments with all of these different people. I cannot find one person that does not know who Todd and Paige West are.
Oh my goodness.
In all of my
That could be
connections,
bad.
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, yeah, we know Todd. Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
we know Paige."
oh goodness. Yeah. I hope it's good and
Yeah.
not, oh, I know them. So
100%. It's great. Hey, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. We'll
You
be
are
praying
too.
for y'all, and thank you for being part of the conversation tonight.
thank you for what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yes.
So
Thank you for having us.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so they were super, super great to have on our conversation tonight. And I hope that you gathered some things from them. And what I hope that you gathered from them is that discipleship is relational, that it's pouring and investing into others. It's intentional, but it also happens in everyday life. In these everyday moments, and it's about sharing who Jesus is and what it means to follow him and obeying him. And we want to help you do that. Maybe you are nervous about starting to disciple somebody and you need some help to do that. Or maybe you want to walk through something and learn more about Jesus and what it means to follow him. So at LifeWord, we've created Follow. So you can go to follow.lifeword.org. This is video based. It's a free tool. And we're just sharing with you who Jesus is, what it means to be transformed by him, and then what it means to walk with him daily. So that's what Follow is. We also have it in Spanish at follow.lifeword.org/Spanish. Our goal for you is that you learn the love of Jesus and how to share that with others. That's the main thing that we want you to do. So, hey, this has been a great conversation tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope that you've learned something. Always say hello in the comments. Let us know how we can pray for you. We'd love to do that throughout the week. And we are here every Tuesday night at 7:00. So I'll see you again next Tuesday at. Bye-bye.